The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get
He
very
missed
close.
the complete that. He's crazy
Side by
stuff.
side, Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through, he tags Richard Eck.
We are only a few days away from one of the greatest racing traditions of this great country, the 143rd running of the Kentucky Derby. But tonight, we've traveled about 60 miles up I-71 to a track that hosts a different kind of horsepower, Kentucky Speedway. Good evening, race fans. I'm Adam Young. Kentucky Speedway and the Premier Racing League welcome you to the Kentucky 150. We look forward to about 100 laps of V8-produced horsepower tonight. Joining me tonight are the lumberjacks Sean Ambrose and the man behind the curtain running the show, Joe Peak. He'll be using cameras provided by Dougie Beer, who by some miracle we were able to get him to take off his derby hat long enough to get some camera angles tonight. Unfortunately, Sean grabbed the hat and now refuses to take it off in the booth. Another guy that likes funny hats is Brian Yazik, who put on a show at Gateway last week. He is going to do his best to run away in the points, but we've got to have a very different track tonight. Gateway, of course, kind of egg-shaped. Kentucky, not so much. Sean, what else makes Kentucky so much different than Gateway?
This is Sparta. Yes, Sparta, Kentucky. This great track here, 1.5 mile D-shaped oval, 4 turns, a bit of banking here. It's at 8 to 10 degrees in the turns. Turns 1 and 2 about 17 degrees. Turns 3 and 4 about 14 degrees, Adam. And this little nowhere town in Kentucky is going to be lit up tonight for this truck race here. And the best way to get a view of the track is from inside the GSRC NASCAR Silverado.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global Sim Racing Channel. I'm Brian Yazik. This is Kentucky Speedway and I'll be taking you for a spin around it in the GSRC Chevrolet Silverado. Kentucky is a fun little track with a bunch of bumps, a whole lot of little nuances to it as well. So we're going to try to cover a lot of that in our guide. Across the start-finish line, up into turn 1, with the lower speeds of the truck, you can really start to attack the entrance a little bit more. But what you're going to do on your hot lap is find that white line right there, that dotted white line, float it back out to the wall. Any lower than that, and it really de-wedges the truck and gets it very, very loose. A lot of instability. Turn 3, more of a wider entrance than turn 1. You can still find that groove right there again, back into the gas, and up out of the corner, kind of about, you don't have to swing it all the way up to the fence, but pretty close to it. As the run progresses and tires wear out, you might see guys start to dabble around up here in this upper groove and then maybe float it down to the middle and get a better run off. If you're trying to get a run on somebody, this might be the avenue that you see people take. Down the back stretch again, but turn 3 is going to be pretty much the same. Wide entrance, let it float down into the middle, down to the bottom, find that dotted white line, back into the gas all the way, let it float up towards the wall, riding the bumps all the way around the track. There's not a spot here on the speedway that is very, very smooth. I think even pit road is bumpy here at Kentucky, but that will complete your track guide around the Kentucky Speedway. I'm Brian Yazik in the GSRC Chevrolet Silverado.
That was a couple of laps around this 1.5 mile tri-oval tonight. And, 100 laps tonight is going to bring us to the 150 mile mark for the Kentucky 150. And that's going to compose round 9 of this race series here this year. And this is actually broken up into a couple of segments. In this first segment, we're getting ready to hit the last 2 races of this segment. The guys do get 1 drop in this segment. The spring season is what they call it. So we got tonight, and then we also got Mid-Ohio next week, and we're going to crown a Spring Series champion here within the next 2 weeks. Of course, that is part of a larger overall season. They do have 31 races to encompass the entire season, and they do get that 1 drop per segment. The race, as we've been mentioning, 100 laps for 150 miles. They are running fixed setups tonight. There are no fast repairs in this series, and Sean, the weather tonight, about 79 degrees. The kicker's going to be those winds out of the southwest, about 8 miles an hour, trying to move those trucks around just a little bit. But hey, Sean, once we hit the halfway point, we're going to get bonus points for the top 10, and that's important because of what you're getting ready to show us.
Yes, let's look at our standings here for the spring, and that shows Brian Yazik on top, in command by 31 points. But let's look at what's going on behind him, because we've got a really, really tight battle here. James Grahula, Tyler Dalton, Brian Mellendorf, all within striking distance of each other. These top 3 positions, or the top 2, second and third position, are certainly undecided. Jake Wright in a tussle back there for 5th, 6th, 7th. You go all the way back to 8th. You see everybody locked up there, 68, 71, 73, 78 points behind the leader, but that is a close battle between all of them to get themselves into the top 5. You have back here McQuistion and Jeff Gow in 9th and 10th. They're knotted up there. So the spring standings here looking very promising right now. Nobody really running away with anything. The margins here are slim. You can make up a lot of these points within the matter of just 1 race, especially if you're getting those bonus points there at the halfway point.
Yeah, and of course, Brian Yazik is the only one up there that is showing any signs of really anything. He has the largest gap between himself and the person behind him out of everybody in the field so far. But that just goes to show just how tight the racing has been here through the first 8 races of this spring season. Man, these guys, they've been rubbing fenders and everything else here the last couple weeks, and that's kind of where we're ended up here so far. We're watching Reed Rundell now as he's coming down. He's going to try to set his fast qualifying time. Looks like he was able to put down a 31.3, and so far that's going to leave him about 12th here on the early grid. Qualifying, of course, going on right now in this series. They do have 10 minutes to try to put down 2 laps at their best possible speed, and there is your early pole sitter, James Grahula. We'll see if he ends up being able to hold on to it. Got a couple of fast guys to go. So, hey, Sean, while we got a minute here, who are you going to be watching tonight? Who's going to be your woodshed pick?
Well, let's see. Let's talk about a couple drivers we're going to watch, and then we'll try and narrow down a pick. Watch out for DJ Beverly this evening. He had a really, really good practice session, and I feel like his return here this evening could be monumental. Definitely going to be a driver to watch. I'd also look out for Mr. Yazik. Yes, he was great at Gateway. You know what? Sometimes drivers get on a roll and they stay on that roll. We'll find out about Mr. Yazik this evening. Jake Wright, California driver. Really, really great in the open wheels, but you know what? Maybe tonight in this truck he may have something for this field. Already second on the board here in qualifying, only 1 lap in right now. I don't know if he's going to try and get another one, but Jake could be one to watch. And you know what? I'd be a fool to leave out James Grahula. He loves these 1.5-mile D-shaped ovals, much similar to his home track there in Texas, where he is a champ at. And so I give a tip of the hat to James. But if I'm looking to pick someone from the woodshed, boy, I'll tell you, I'd have to look really, really close at Jake Wright tonight.
All right, so there you go. Jake Wright is Sean's woodshed pick, and I do think that I think we were safe to go ahead and call who the pole award winner is going to be for tonight. It does look like James Grahula is going to be able to hang on for your NP3 Designs pole award. We're going to go ahead and ride along here with his fast lap. And indeed, it was a fast lap. And one thing that you're going to be watching out of these guys here when they run their laps, even qualifying laps, I mean, they'll try to pull it in tight, but they're not going to see them dip down too low, too close to that yellow line here tonight. Sean, why is that going to be?
Well, the transition from the apron to the racing surface here is not very friendly. We've already seen in practice a little bit of trouble down there near that line. We certainly in the turns, you do not want to get the tires left side of that line. It will mean trouble. It'll probably bring out a big wreck with not only you and anybody around you. The front stretch, now that's, you might see several drivers drop to the apron there and try and pick up that 1,000th or 2,000th of a second. I caution that, because the transition back up to the track, much like other spots here, is very, very tricky. You better be able to respond to it and do it smoothly. If you can't, you'll be in trouble, and so will everybody else around you.
Well, with that, the drivers are gathering for their meeting, but the Fort Knox Color Guard is gathering on the front straightaway to present the nation's colors and the national anthem tonight. Oh, okay, sorry, we're going to hold it on. We've got the pole here lap still going on. Wow. All right, so yeah, the Fort
Let the
Knox
man finish his lap.
Right? Well, it's just James. It'll be okay.
Yeah, well, on screen here, you're seeing James. He makes that just finishing up that lap, and a real burner. I mean, 35-20. His next closest opponent, Jake Wright, was a full tenth, little over a tenth of a second behind. And James finding the speed here at Kentucky Motor Speedway tonight.
All right, so now we'll go ahead and get to the presentation of the nation's colors and the Fort Knox Color Guard and tonight's national anthem. All right, so now we are getting ready to go do some racing here with some pick-em-up trucks at Kentucky Speedway. Starting on the pole tonight, as we were talking about, we're going to find James Krahula named in the top spot with a 30.520. Jake Wright going to be running in second. Sean?
All right, row 2 going to go to Tyler Dalton and Brian Yazik. Watch out for both of them. Tyler Dalton's been really fast here for the past several weeks.
Yeah, another guy that's shown some speed, Drew Carroll, and then alongside him is going to be Travis McQuistion, and that'll make up row 3.
Row 4 going to bring you DJ Beverly in 7th tonight, Rick Thompson 8th.
Billy Tungate's going to start in 9th on the inside of row 5. Joining him in row 5 will be Devin Cannon.
Row 6 belongs to Norman Pelletier and Jeff Gow.
Row 7, Tim Johnson and Brad Collins.
Okay, row 8. 15th tonight, Jonathan Lawrence. 16th, Jeff Ryan.
Don Runkle Jr. and Reed Rundell are going to make up row 9.
Row 10, 19th place tonight, Casey Campbell. And Tommy Amassi, 20th.
All right, to round out the field here, these guys did not put down qualifying times, but they are in session and expected to take the grid. It'll be John Wilco and Fred Thompson in row 11 and Stephen Herring making up row 12. So qualifying, technically, the session itself still has about 50 seconds or so left here. Then we should start to see the trucks come out onto the racetrack. Sean, any last thoughts here before we get going?
Man, you know what? I think this track, perfect conditions for a fast race. Unlike what we saw last week at Gateway, you're not going to be on the brake much here. You're going to be cruising through these turns. Yeah, you'll be lifting a little bit. You may need a tap of the brake to settle the nose of the truck. But tonight, side-by-side racing and flat-out speed, a little bit of drafting, that's what we're going to see here at this 1.5 mile facility. And I can't wait to get going, my friend.
Yeah, Kentucky definitely lends itself to a racy surface in these trucks, especially these trucks. They are I can tell you from personal experience, I find them to be a blast to drive here at Kentucky. In particular, how the things are going to change here as the run goes along with tire wear and everything else. It really starts to become a driver's racetrack toward the end of this, into fuel runs, which is surprising considering the fact that, Sean, as you mentioned, there is really only a limited use of brake here.
Yeah, again, you're really only going to need that if you have to. Well, you'll need it if you find yourself in trouble. If that entry's too hot, Adam, you're in trouble. You do have to slow down the truck. You'll need to brake there. But again, maybe just a slight application of that pedal sometimes in the center to get that truck to just set and find that grip. Find that special line through the turn. But the way these trucks work together this evening, I think, will be something to watch. We will see side-by-side racing. I don't think there'll be just one right after the other in a straight line for the whole race. We expect that when we get to that halfway point, things will probably ratchet up just a bit. You'll see some scrambling for that position in the top 10 and for the win. But we're getting ready to roll off here, and I like what James Krahula did in qualifying. I like what Jake Wright did in qualifying. Jake, this is his type of track. I'm familiar with his races and seeing him a lot here over the past couple of years. 1.5 miles with lots of speed under the lights. This is a night for Jake Wright.
Well, one thing, too, that I want to get your opinion on, Sean, is pit stops here tonight. Is we should see the pace car start to roll away with the field here any second now. Do you think we're going to see any kind of pit strategy? I don't think Kentucky is as hard on tires as what Gateway is. Do you think we're going to see people come in even if we see a yellow come out with 3 laps into this race?
I'm glad you brought that up. I think tonight you will see the 2-tire change. You'll see them play with the fuel a little bit. May even want to risk no tires at some point and just keep that truck out there for the sake of position. Everything will be dependent on how long these runs are, but this is the type of track that we've seen in the past where we drop the green flag, everybody gets settled in and goes to race, and we could be getting that fuel window, which will fall before the halfway point. So it will be a scramble. Your pit stops are going to have to be perfect. The pit entry here, not too bad, but you still have to be careful because you're carrying an awful lot of speed for the turn to get slowed down and get down onto that pit entry.
Well, the field getting ready to enter turn 3 here. We're going to be taking the green flag momentarily. Once again, your front row is going to be Krahula and Jake Wright. Tyler Dalton and Brian Yazik make up the next row after that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Yazik started 4th last week, too, and we kind of saw what happened there. But that Mustang pace car rounding turn 4 now, pulling off the racetrack. James Krahula waiting to slam on the gas, and there he goes. Good start here by James Krahula. He might be able to get past Jake Wright there on the start. Now, there he goes, but he does have Tyler Dalton hot on his heels heading into 1. James Krahula is going to cut down. He's going to get as close as he can to that yellow line. Not too close. You don't want to hit that apron. And it looks like everybody is through turns 1 and 2 clean. Sean?
Yes, and they're fighting down the backstretch right now. We've got 3 wide heading into turn 3 here towards the back. Keeping it crazy here in the back. They're 3 wide out of turn 4. Oh boy, Jonathan Lawrence in that mix down on the bottom, and they get in front of him there. That's Brad Collins. And let's see, Brad Collins and Jeff Ryan. I'm sorry, I didn't pick him up. Jeff Ryan and the Bojangles Chevrolet.
Well, those guys fighting tooth and nail. Everybody kind of strings out here, nose to tail, just trying to feel each other out here in the early going. But just as I say that, Brian Yasik's going to get a look on the inside of Jake Wright. Jake Wright's going to have to hold him off. He might be better off just to kind of let him by going at this point of the race as they're heading down into 1 here any second now. Kentucky, Is shaped just a little bit different than your normal, what they like to call in the NASCAR world is cookie cutter racetracks. It's not exactly symmetrical between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. There is a little bit different entry schemes on going into 1 and going into 3, and that kind of helps change things up just a little bit. So those guys get things settled out between them. Jake Wright ends up falling back to 5th. You got Drew Carroll. You're riding along Jake Wright right now. Drew Carroll up there now in 4th. Drew Carroll showed some speed last week at Gateway in the trucks. He also showed some speed in the Cup Series at Gateway before an unfortunate late race accident there. So he's looking to try to make up for a little bit of that here in the Truck Series tonight. Of course, your American Pool Supply Truck Series coming into now round 9 starting here tonight at Kentucky, and round 10 next week at Mid-Ohio, and then we crowned a spring season champion before the season resumes in a couple weeks after that. So up front right now, your top 3, Krahula, Dalton, and Yazik.
All right, Adam, we got a good battle back here between Billy Tungate, Norman Pelletier. That is for 11th spot. Pelletier down on the bottom in the middle of the turn. They are side by side. Couple of side-by-side battles there. Jeff Gow, Devin Cannon just up in front of them. Here comes the 54, Tim Johnston. He's trying to get into this. Maybe look to make it 3 wide here in the turn. Does look like Tungate has had a bit of a connection issue there from time to time. The American Pool Supply Chevrolet there looking steady right now, but he is locked up with Tim Johnston. Johnston getting the advantage through the turn here. I think Billy's going to have to drop her down and get in line. He's losing there up on that top side.
Yeah, it seems like Kentucky tonight's going to be a multi-groove racetrack, but you don't want to be out of the main groove for very long. But hey, we got a battle here for P2 shaping up. Looks like Yazik now on the outside of Tyler Dalton. Yazik's going to try to do this thing on the long way around. He got the outside look coming into 2, and he's holding his own up there and actually has a little bit of momentum over Tyler Dalton. Tyler Dalton also got a little bit loose coming out of 2. Not much, just a little bit, but now he's going to be able to take second position away for Yazik. Now Yazik's going to have his eyes set on your leader, James Krahula.
Boy, Yazik looked to have found a little bit of grip up there on that line, the way he drove that off the turn. And once again, another great drive off of turn 2. That's allowed him to pick up James there on the backstretch. Close that gap just a little bit. It's it's about 1/10 of a second. Yazik really getting the run out of 4 here.
If you're joining us a little bit late, one of the primary lines that you're seeing guys doing through 3 and 4 is they're running about a lane up from that yellow line. That yellow line is kind of the danger zone. Cue Kenny Loggins here any second. They really don't want to hit that. Sean?
That was the first thing that went through my head. Good job, Adam. DJ Beverly trying to take 6th place from Travis McQuistion. DJ got it down there on the bottom, right near that line we were talking about, Adam. He's going to drive it off of 4 and take it away from Travis McQuistion across the line.
So battle for 3rd right now with Drew Carroll now on the inside of Tyler Dalton. Tyler, once he lost seconds, kind of dropped back a little bit. Drew Carroll also showing some speeds, and Tyler Dalton's going to drop back behind Drew Carroll right in front of Jake Wright. Jake Wright right now finding a little bit of pace after losing a little bit, but now Brian Yazik going up to 1st. Brian Yazik on the inside of James Krahula. Yazik has the preferred line going through that corner. He's not going to have to go through the high side here this time to gain position, except for the fact that Krahula has a little bit more momentum there coming out of 4. He's able to pull it down going through the front straightaway, but Yazik definitely has a little bit of speed right now.
Well, Krahula doing a good job of hanging on to it, but I don't know if he's going to be able to hang on to it for long. Yazik really getting the run here at the backstretch. Got a little bit of draft on him, was able to slip in there. But look what Krahula continues to do here through the middle of the turn. He is finding that same bit of grip that Yazik was right there a moment ago when he was making that run up to 2nd spot. So James doing a little bit of learning out there, but watch out for this 87 truck of Drew Carroll. He is really on the rise here.
Yeah, and I think that is the longer that Yazik is sitting here essentially just trying to figure out how to get it past Krahula, that's allowing Drew Carroll to almost do some studying of his own in, I think, a little bit more of an advantageous position. If our friend Bill Soupzon was here tonight, he'd call Drew Carroll being in the popcorn position, even probably in this young part of the race. We're caution-free here so far tonight. If you're just joining us, 12 laps into this thing, and so far, plenty of hard racing to be had. We're watching Drew Carroll, as our director Joe Peak telling me that we're queuing the first caution because apparently I put a commentator's curse on it.
Yeah,
but hey, go back to fourth. We got a battle here. It looks like Tyler Dalton is going to end up losing that spot here to Jake Wright. Jake Wright getting hungry, following him on the inside. Tyler Dalton a little bit more momentum there on the outside. That goes. But hey, back up to P1. Yazik now on the inside of Krahula. Krahula now having to hold him off. And as he's holding him off, look who's trying to come up. It's Drew Carroll. Drew Carroll now on the outside of Yazik. And Yazik just lets off the gas. He's going to let him go. And as that happens, Drew Carroll does the over-under. He's going to get inside of your leader, James Krahula. Yazik almost said, hey, I can't get by him. See what you can do with them here. But Krahula is able to hold the top spot heading to the start-finish line.
Man, what a battle we got going on there. Krahula really I'll tell you what, he is committed to that line that you talked about before, Adam, that one that's about a lane and a half up right there. That seems to be where he's finding his speed and able to play good defense with these guys. They can't seem to get around.
Yeah, and it seemed to really work for him, the 3 and 4. 1 and 2, not so much. That's where a lot of these guys are able to try to get their runs on him. As you see now, Krahula running wide. I think Carroll right now is actually going to be able to hang on with them here a little bit. Carroll is going to officially lead that lap. Is he able to clear him going into 1, though? That's going to be the question. So far, he does. He is able to get past James Krahula, but he does drift up the track just a little bit. Krahula has a slight run to get back to him. I don't think it's going to be enough. Drew Carroll is going to be taking sole possession of the lead going into 3 and 4.
Finally, somebody manages to grab it away from James Krahula. Wow, good job by Drew Carroll there. Now the question is James going to fight back, or is he going to try and sit back here, maybe save a little bit of fuel and work an extra lap or two out of this when we get towards the pit window? Because listen, if I'm a driver on track right now, I'm starting to think about, hey, you know what? This race is still green. We may go green all the way to the first pit stop.
These guys, in fact, their lap times have not fallen off as much as what we saw at Gateway last week, where, as soon as the leader comes in, you want to come in too. So you might have a little bit more play as far as when you come in. Granted, of course, you're not going to be as fast as you would be on 4 tires, but, it does lead itself to a little bit more strategy. But while Drew Carroll is starting to slowly pull away, about 0.3 of a second, I think is the largest lead that we've seen here so far tonight. As that's happening, James Krahula is continuing to back up Brian Yazik, and now you've got to start worrying about the likes of Tyler Dalton, who saw just a couple minutes ago had to put on a fantastic fight to be able to hold on to 4th position in Jake Wright. But you're starting to see a lot more other trucks back there, I think, getting a little bit closer in that rear view look as we're looking off the back end now of that James Krahula truck. Yazik right on his rear bumper. Now that gap is kind of shifted back once back again to about 0.3 of a second, which doesn't seem like a lot, but Yazik gets a great run coming off the backstretch on Krahula, and he gets the inside line as he goes through 3 and 4. The question is momentum. Can Krahula hold on to the momentum? And it looks like this time he is able a little bit, but he's not able to completely clear Yazik yet. Nope, just as I said, he gets enough room to be able to chop that nose down as they end up hitting the start-finish line. Going into 1 now, Krahula goes back to that kind of preferred line that he's been running where he's kind of down low, but this time Yazik is going to be on the outside with a little bit of momentum. He gets a good run coming off too. He's going to get a good look with his nose. No, he actually backs out of it just a little bit and doesn't want to force the issue there.
Well, the Battle of the 4 is about to turn into the Battle of 5 because DJ Beverly has been busy back here in 6th place, and he's been turning the type of laps that has allowed him to close this gap. He has been the fastest of those 6, and slowly but surely he is gaining. Now, we are 20 laps into this race, and Adam, fall off on the times only about a second. On a 20-lap run. That leads me to believe we will definitely see some tire strategy here tonight. at Kentucky Motor Speedway if we get the caution flags to do it. This might be a long night for our buddy Brutus in his little pen there.
Yeah, of course, Brutus definitely had a busy night last time out at Gateway. Both the PRL trucks and the Cup Series had a pretty busy night. So, but no cautions to be had here so far. As we're looking at a battle in the back half of the field. You're looking 14th, 15th, and 16th there. 13th, 14th, and 15th, all spread by about a piece of paper. I think you could throw over them right now, Sean.
Yeah, Reed Rundell leading that, but watch out. Here comes Brad Collins. Collins down there on the inside. Reed gets a good run off the top. Collins flirting with that apron down there, keeps it up on the pavement. Now he's going to try and look to the inside again. Rundell just getting a really nice drive off there, up in the middle groove. The truck seems to be responding really well right now. Billy Tungate, I still see him.
I'm going to interrupt you. We need to go back up to P1. James Grahula has been able to catch Drew Carroll here. Drew Carroll on the outside. James Grahula is able to stick his nose actually in front of Drew Carroll here going into one. James Grahula doing his best right now to take back the lead. Tightens his truck up just a little bit on the exit of two. Drew Carroll's able to use that momentum and pull back where his nose is in front. Now he has Yazik on his rear bumper. Three-way fight for the lead here going on. Grahula's diving it down into three and drifting up high a little bit, coming out of four, almost contact. That was getting really close there between those two. Who's going to lead this lap? It looks like Rahul is able to lead that lap. Is he able to get clear of Carroll, though, going into one? It doesn't look like it here so far. Rahula pulls her down as close as he dares to that yellow line, and that's actually going to allow Carroll to get back up there. But Rahula slides back up in front of Yazik. Yazik actually has to lift just a little bit to miss him. Ends up killing his momentum, and now Yazik's going to have his hands full with Tyler Dalton back there. Kind of an accordion effect going through that front top five right there. Now Drew Carroll, though, back in possession of the lead.
Man, Yazik, I don't know about lift. I think he had to practically lock him up there when James came up in front of him. That really, really killed Yazik's momentum. You'll see it, right? He has really lost a lot of ground there. You see the battle on screen. Rick Thompson working the outside there on the 38, getting by Devin Cannon down the backstretch. Lots of little battles like this going on. Our leaders getting by some lap traffic right now. Casey Campbell going to be the first truck a lap down this evening.
And here we go. Krahula once again getting his nose inside Drew Carroll going into 1 and 2. But Drew Carroll, I think 1 and 2 is Drew Carroll's end of the racetrack. He's got that portion of the racetrack figured out, where 3 and 4 I think more belongs to James Krahula right now.
Yeah, James, honestly, been fast since he's shown up tonight. I think, and you know what? I also predict that if this stays green, he'll stay out on track longer than anybody else. He'll push it to the very limit and see how much he can get out of it. We'll have to see, but I think you hit the nail on the head in the pre-race when we talked about the tires. I love what I'm seeing with these tires. I think it's going to be a big deal at some point here. You're going to, with as tight as this field is right now, you're going to see guys trying to gain advantage on their pit stop.
Yeah, so of course we've been talking about the possibility of seeing some pit strategy tonight, and that would lead credence to that. So once again, James Krahula is able to stick his nose to the inside of Drew Carroll up front. Now the question is if he's able to do anything with it again, but he's actually able to hold it down there just a little bit longer. But Drew Carroll, once again, just has, I think, 1 and 2 figured out right now. He's able to carry that momentum off the racetrack and forcing James Krahula to slip back in line. Now James, he'll probably get a good run here coming out of 4 and maybe be able to get his nose back into the rear quarter panel of Drew Carroll. Actually, maybe not this time, as Drew Carroll looks like he's going to hang on to the lead and not have to worry about anybody running side by side with him this time going into 1. Now, just as I say that, James Krahula is able to get a little bit of momentum coming in through the middle part there of 1 and 2. He's able to get that truck to rotate. and able to kind of sneak in there, but once again slides back in line. He's kind of trying to keep, I think, maybe clean air on his nose at certain times, other than also maybe just letting Drew Carroll know that he's still there without actually touching him at all. But now over the course of the last couple of laps, as that battle is kind of tamed down, I use tamed down loosely, but your top five about as spread out as they've been here over the last 10 laps. That doesn't say a whole lot. There's only about a second difference going back to Jake Wright from first to fifth right now. So as you know, that second difference can disappear in a hurry if we see something happen up here.
Yeah, and just when I talked about DJ Beverly closing the gap on him, it hasn't come to fruition yet. He slid back just a bit. So is Jake Wright. Here on screen, you see Krahula still battling in the inside. This is what we're seeing every lap. Him and Drew Carroll just running their own lines here through the turn. The one who's having the really good drive is, well, it's Yazik back there. He's just riding. He's just riding, just watching, paying attention. But he's having an easy trip around. Dalton, not putting too much pressure on him. I think they're happy where they're at. It's all about getting to the pit stop and getting to this halfway point.
Yeah, I have to think that Yazik right now, after that, having James Krahula slide up in front of him a couple laps ago, say, okay, I'm going to back off here a little bit. I'm just going to watch you two guys go at it, because we know that Yazik has the pace, and he's doing just enough, I think, right now to maybe keep Tyler Dalton behind him. As you mentioned also that Jake Wright starting to slide back just a little bit. But hey, another battle on your screen. Travis McQuestion and Tim Johnston going at it.
Yeah, these two have been playing around for a while. Tim got off to a bit of a rough
pit
start.
stops. Here we go. Drew Carroll is staying out alongside Brian Yazik, but we got James Krahula, and I think that's Tyler Dalton coming in behind him. Here we go.
Wow, and Krahula does just the opposite of what I thought he might do. He comes in first. He's going to be the trend center. Tyler Dalton's going to follow him. Everybody else going to stay on track and get around. That might have caught everybody by surprise. A little surprised myself to see Krahula in already. They still had plenty of laps of fuel left.
Yeah, he still has a little bit of a partner to work with there in Dalton. Of course, the draft does play a little bit of a role here at Kentucky. But, still, though, we have to think about everybody coming in. I think I see a couple other trucks starting to come in here this lap as well.
Yeah, and they are away. Jeff Ryan came in. He's in the pit. And DJ Beverly coming down right now.
Okay, so now the question is going to be, when does your leader, Drew Carroll, come in? Brian Yazik as well is going to be another trucker to watch here. Drew Carroll on the binders along with Yazik. They are both coming in this lap. Yazik coming in really hot. I have to go back and make sure that he didn't actually speed. I think he got it woed down just in the nick of time. That doesn't get much closer than that, but he's able to pull right up onto the back bumper of Drew Carroll, who took a very conservative entry into pit road. He might have actually lost a little bit of time coming down on pit road entry, but he does avoid any kind of speeding penalty like that here early on in the race. We're 36 laps into it. You're looking at round one of pit stops. Drew Carroll is in his pit box. Oh, Drew Carroll misses his pit box a little bit. He has to back up. That's going to cost him even a little bit more time. You see the difference here once Yazik pulls out of his pit stall as his left sides go on, and he is a good... Looks like Drew Carroll is a couple of seconds back there now behind Brian Yazik.
Okay, so for everyone that we've had come in, or may be in right now, we still have a good handful of drivers that have not taken that pit. It has cycled Jake Wright up to the lead. Rick Thompson following in second, Brad Collins in third, Don Runkle Jr. in fourth, and Reed Reddell capping out your top five. They all still need to pit. Everybody is a lap up on all the trucks that have pitted. So basically, the length of time it takes to get around here, your pit delta, just a few seconds longer. And so that does allow everybody else that is still on track to get that lap advantage. You'll get it back when they go in for their pit finally, but they're keeping it out just a bit longer. Jake not showing any signs of coming in yet. They're up front. But plenty of trucks with fresher tires behind him starting to make their way around. Another driver making his intentions known there. It was There's Jake, your leader.
Yazik now has an inside look here on James Krahula. Once everybody does make their pit stop, this will be the battle for the lead here in a few minutes. So Krahula trying to do his best right now to hold off Yazik, heading down the backstretch, going into 3. He is going to clear Yazik. He's able to stick down, go back down to his preferred line of running about a lane up. But Yazik, hot on his tail, actually gets a really good run coming off 4, going down the front stretch. Who is going to lead this lap? I do think that Krahula was able to hold on to that lap by only a couple hundredths of a second, but Yazik is able to hold his own, actually edging just a little bit ahead here, going through 1 and 2. By the way, Jake Wright, I do believe, is now pitted, so he is given up the lead now to Rick Thompson, but this will be the battle for the lead once all those other trucks do in fact pit here in just a little bit. So side by side, getting really close to each other is Yazik and Krahula. Krahula now heading down to the front stretch. They're heading to the line. Krahula is able to lead that lap, but still has Yazik right alongside of him, going into 1. And once again, getting really close. In fact, I think that Yazik actually kind of let off the gas there just a touch, thinking they were getting too close, and he ends up pulling in behind Krahula.
Boy, those two are really, really turning some great laps, because they went right past Jake Wright sitting there in the pit lane, and he's going to find himself about 10 seconds behind them after he cycles, finally gets to full speed and cycles back on this. Yeah, we're going to have to keep an eye on this battle between Krahula and Yazik, because right now they prove to be the class of the field. Dalton, Drew Carroll still together just behind him.
I want to say that, you're commenting on their lap times, Krahula and Yazik's, but you can't forget there is another guy back there that is having to make up for a mistake, and he's setting faster lap times than both of those, and that is Drew Carroll. Drew Carroll right now alongside Tyler Dalton. Drew Carroll running 31.1s while everybody else is running 31.2s, and he is just trying to gain every little bit back that he lost after missing his pit stall just a few minutes ago. He's going to be able to clear Tyler Dalton here coming out of 2.
Well, they have really, really spread out on track since all those trucks went in the pit. I'm still excited to see these last 6 come in. They're stretching it just as far as they can. They're obviously trying to make a run at the halfway point here, though. I don't know if they've got 50 laps in this tank. I'm sorry I didn't push it that far. I thought our window was somewhere between 40 and 45, but I could be wrong here.
Well, it could be one of those things that they're trying to bleed their tanks dry, just hoping for a yellow and maybe trap some heavy hitters possibly down a lap. But they definitely out there. Rick Thompson, of course, in that Air Force. United States Air Force Thunderbirds truck, who, as I mentioned last broadcast, I just love. Go ahead, go back for what will eventually be the lead once again. We got to go back to James Krahula and Yazik. Yazik was trying to sneak onto the inside again of Krahula, and of course, just as we go to him, Yazik ends up slipping back behind him. So it looks like we're back to where we were closer to the start of this race, Sean, where Yazik just can't figure out a way to get around James Krahula at this point.
Yeah, no, it's not there. Listen, Yazik's very, very smart driver. He doesn't have to push yet, okay? There's no reason to take a chance. It's okay to race with James Krahula. He's not going to do anything to end your race. So he's got a pretty good dance partner. The best thing they can continue to do is work together here, because they are a full second and a half faster than the guys that haven't gone into pit yet. They are making big gains here every lap on the rest of the 6 that have not pitted yet.
They are, and of course, Rick Thompson right now, the actual leader of this race, is still out there in that Speed Mafia Toyota Tundra pickup. He is still turning laps with his lap times right now at 32.6. You're right. Those guys that have made stops are just gaining on them by leaps and bounds at this point. So the question becomes, when is Rick Thompson going to be able to come in? Can he make lap 50? Is this a play maybe hoping for a yellow, or maybe a play hoping to get some halfway bonus points? Don't forget, at lap 50, at halfway of this race, these guys, this series does award bonus points to the top 10. And you saw the point standings, you know that there is definitely some points positions that are pretty tight.
Oh boy, we got a tricky situation here with our leaders getting through the lap traffic. Brian Yazik in the middle, making a move on James Grahula on the top side. They were working by the lap car there of Tommy Amassi, and they get by him, and it allows Yazik to get by. He takes sixth spot, and now getting by the truck of Fred Thompson.
Well, they've still got about 19 seconds here before they end up getting up to your leader, the actual leader of the race, Rick Thompson. Rick Thompson, Collins, Runkle Jr., Reed Rundell, Fred Thompson. That's your top 5 trucks that have not pitted yet. We got apparently somebody in the grass in the front straightaway.
No, and I think it was Fred Thompson having a little bit of trouble coming off the turn.
Okay, so coming up here, they were able to make it to lap 50. Go ahead and take a look at your American Pool Supply halfway award. That's going to go to Rick Thompson, leading this thing on fuel here so far. You got to think his fuel tank's running dry, but he's able to make a statement by being able to push this thing all the way to halfway. So your top 10, who gets the bonus points? That's going to be Thompson, Collins, Runkle, Rundell, Yazik, Krahula, Carroll, Thompson, Dalton, as well as Tommy Amassi. I think that'll be your top 10 that end up getting bonus points as everything's said and done here as everybody cycles back around. So Rick Thompson's still out there circling around. It's going lap 51 now.
Yeah, so they had more fuel than I thought, and it did pay off for Rick Thompson. The only problem is that he's sacrificed a lot of time by staying out there on track, and Krahula.
Rick has made the announcement. He is finally coming in. I think the way he started slowing down out of 3, I'm wondering if his engine didn't start sputtering, and maybe that was the cue to go ahead and finally come down pit road. But he's able to get it wound up to 50 miles an hour, and he will relinquish the lead here. I think that's Brad Collins I see back there as well. I think pretty much everybody that hadn't pitted yet is now coming down pit road, and indeed that does look like to be the case. So Brian Yazik is going to take back over the lead of the race. James Grahula is going to be following right behind him in second. Of course, they got broken up just a little bit because of some of that traffic, but Yazik's going to be looking at the opportunity here to try to run away as fast as he can.
Well, it will serve him best, but you know what? Grahula's not going anywhere, and they are now locked together on strategy. They may leave it for the last 5 laps, buddy.
Well, meanwhile, while all that was going on, James Grahula, you got to start looking in his rear view mirror, and a guy that's inching ever closer to James Grahula is going to be Drew Carroll. Drew Carroll right now putting down some pretty good lap times, 31.5 that last time. He hasn't lost a whole lot since his pit stops, in fact. So that 87 truck is on the move.
Yes, sir, it is. It's definitely on the move. And you know what? I knew he would be. Like Tyler Dalton, Drew Carroll, been one of those drivers, been up near the front every week, and just hasn't quite been able to pull it off yet.
Well, could tonight be the night? He only has about 1.8 seconds to get to your leader right now, Brian Yazik, and he is setting faster laps than your leader, Brian Yazik, right now. Fastest truck on the racetrack, I believe, is Drew Carroll. And before too long, he's going to be back up on the back bumper of James Grahula. So James is going to have his hands full from behind. But I think what some of these guys are really wanting, particularly once you start talking about Dalton, Tim Johnston, Jake Wright, is going to be these guys want to see a caution here before too long. As long as they're not the caution, get this field bunch back up and get them back in this race.
Agreed. Yes, sir. Just looking through the field here, trying to see if we have any other battles developing. Now that the pit cycle is complete, the real battle I'm seeing right now is Jake Wright, Travis McQuistion. They are fighting pretty hard. They're passing a truck now. That's who is that they're getting by? I'm sorry. Jake just got overtaken by Travis. Lost my place there. Sorry about that, folks.
Sorry, go ahead. I thought you finished your talk. Please.
No, I was going to say it was Jeff Ryan that they were getting by. That was the driver I was searching for. But McQuistion getting the better of Jake right now.
I want to throw something out there here to watch as we go the next little bit. I want to go ahead and go over to Rick Thompson, currently running in 12th. Of course, we just saw him with that really long fuel stint in that 76 truck. Now, he's running all by himself out there as far as for a position. That is the lap truck of Tommy Amassi right behind him. The fact that he came in a little later than your leaders, he's still running slightly faster lap times than him. He's a good ways back behind Jazik by about 28 seconds. But we just saw him put down about 52 laps, I think is what it was, when he finally came down pit road. Could Rick Thompson be a dark horse in this race on field strategy? Because I think the leaders, they all came in too early. I don't think they can go the rest of the way, but we know for a fact that Thompson can. Oh, and just as I say that, all that goes out the window. Is that a Massey? I think that's a Massey on the backstretch.
I think you're right. It was Tom Amassi.
And the one guy, talking about the one guy that did not want to see a yellow, he ends up seeing a yellow. I think that's going to throw all that field strategy game and all that out the window. Tommy Massey just kind of loses the back end of that truck coming out of 2. I don't think he actually touched anything except maybe nudging into the wall, maybe trying to get out of traffic. I thought I saw maybe the fender flare up just a touch, but I think he's able to get away for the most part. Scott Clean just going to need 4 fresh Goodyears after that.
Yeah, that really wasn't the only problem Tom had. Actually, when he came in his pit stop, he also stretched it all the way to the end. He had trouble getting onto the pit lane the first time initially there and spun it there. So Tom having a little trouble with the handle on that Genesee Brewhouse. Genesee. Genesee Brewhouse machine this evening, and you know what? Hopefully some better things ahead for him, but he's going to have some work to do because he finds himself a couple laps down.
Yep. Well, with that, the leaders will come down for the pit stops. We'll get to the Lucky Dog here in just a second, but we want to watch the leaders' pit stops. Jazik coming down, Krahula coming down, Carroll trying to get every little advantage he can. He's coming down, and one thing that we saw at Gateway 2 was races off pit road. We very well could see that here again tonight, as these guys have shown that they are very, very close together. So if you can gain a spot off pit road with about 40 laps to go here, that could make all the difference in the world of your race. So Jazik is in, Carroll is in his box. Carroll hits his marks this time. He doesn't have to back up. Everybody's right sides are going on. Seeing the right side come down. Start to see the left sides go on here any second. Jazik is away. Jazik looks like he's going to get the run off pit road. Guess who's going to get second though? Drew Carroll's going to get second place. Tyler Dalton and then James Krahula.
Yeah, James a little slow in the pit. I was looking there at his crew. They were all wearing tuxedos. I wonder if maybe it was just a little too casual there in the pit box.
All right, so they let Brutus out of his kennel, and he ended up having to chase around Stephen Herring for your Coastal Safety Auditor's Lucky Dog. Stephen Herring in that red 98 truck has been able to really kind of lucked out by that caution, ended up a lap down thanks to the pit cycle, but he's going to go ahead and get the trip around and be able to rejoin the lead lap of this race. Stephen Herring's a guy that we haven't talked too much about, but, maybe we'll get a chance to talk about him. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break here, and we'll be right back. And we're back at Kentucky Speedway for the Kentucky 150. These guys were able to go all that distance without a caution. This ended up being the first caution of the race. Right now, your top 10 is going to be Yazek, Carroll, Dalton, Krahula, Wright, Johnston, Christian, Thompson, Cannon, and Gal. So that is your top 10. We get ready to head back to green here in just a second. Yazek now up front, but Carroll able to get back up in second pit strategy. Carroll was the fastest car on the racetrack right before that yellow came out. So it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to have anything for your leader, Brian Yazek, here.
It's going to all be about this restart here, Adam.
Yep, and we're watching the Mustang pace car getting ready for it to pull away. It takes that hard left hand off the course, and almost immediately Yazek is on the gas trying to get as big of a jump as he can on everybody else. He's able to pull it down going into the lead on the start finish line. He's going to be all by himself going into one. Carroll, on the other hand, Carroll's have to go a little bit defensive. He's having to hold off Dalton. They come really close to each other going into one, but able to get it sorted out as Carroll is going to be able to take second here going down the back straightaway. So then you have Dalton, and then you got Krahula back there, and you got Wright back on the inside of Krahula, excuse me, and they're gonna. That's your nearest battle on the racetrack right now for fourth position. Wright trying to exert himself a little bit here after kind of falling back a little bit. Now behind him though, you have Tim Johnston. Tim Johnston able to show a little bit of muscle here as of late, especially after that first pit stop cycle. He's been able to work his way up into sixth position. So now back up front, Yazek is up front. Carroll, that red truck caught right back up to the back bumper of Yazek with everything going on back there, and Yazek is going to have to start holding off Carroll here before too long as well. So now their Dalton is there on the inside of, it looks like that's Jake Wright there on the outside. They're able to all go single file. Jake Wright's going to take a look on the outside of Dalton here, going down one. They go nose to tail here. So I think what Wright's looking for right now is maybe try to get on him on momentum here, but doesn't quite have enough in the engine to be able to get that done at this point.
Go back in the field a little bit to Devin Cannon, just took 10th place away from Billy Tungate. The 38 is on a bit of a charge. He's setting up Rick Thompson right now. Got a good draft with him as they head across the front straight. The two trucks in front of them since the restart, McQuistion, Rick Thompson, McQuistion and Gow cannot seem to get away from each other. They were hooked up for the first run, the early stages of this race, and the 92 and the 93, just coincidental that they're both next to each other. They keep trading spots. They've been doing it now for about 65 laps.
Well, every race you got two guys that just can't seem to get away from each other, and that seems to be those two here tonight as they continue to pretty much run almost dead of heat. They're coming across the start-finish line that time. Hey, but hold on, get something going on here. What happened?
Yeah, no, McQuistion just almost made contact. They were coming across the turn. McQuistion crossed him over, and in the process, almost made contact with that bumper. That's a horrible spot to cross over there. All it takes is just one little tap, and then the truck in front of you is around. But those two still door to door all the way around this track and continue now through turns 1 and 2.
Well, one guy that's getting a look right now is your leader, your second place runner, Drew Carroll, getting a little bit of a look inside Yazek. Of course, as soon as I say that, it kind of breaks up a little bit, so we'll stay with Gow and the question here. All right, now we're going to go up front with Yazek. Now we're back there with McQuestion. Now it looks like finally Gow is able to clear him just a little bit, but as anything is shown here, Sean, that battle will probably pick back up here before too long again.
Yes, sir. It will pick back up. All these battles will pick back up because, listen, we're just about 30 laps to go. This race has been a quick one. I had a feeling.
Who was that in the wall there?
Tungate, Billy Tungate hard. Yeah, and I think he might have had a little help. I mean, he was already having trouble through the turn, but Norman Pelletier came screaming through there, and his truck started to run up the track just a little bit. I think it might have been a little bit of both, but Norm didn't help his effort there. Billy was already struggling with that truck, and Norman Pelletier gives him a bit of a door slam there that helps him a little bit further into the wall. Tungate survives it with minimal damage on the right side, but Billy and that truck have been struggling a little bit tonight. He's a little nicked up there on pretty much all four corners.
Well, while all that's been going on, Yazik just has his mirror full still of Drew Carroll. Drew Carroll has been all over the back of him, trying to find any weakness right now out of Brian Yazik. And so far, he hasn't had much luck being able to find a specific one that he's able to exploit. So he's still riding in second, but this battle is one that very well could go full nuclear here any moment now, as these guys, Drew Carroll definitely, I think, has the faster truck, at least at this point in the race. He's just looking for a way to get by Yazik.
Tell you what, he's picked the wrong guy to pick on. Yazik, that's a tough driver to try and figure out, to rattle, to get to make a mistake. I talked about it in the pre-race. Yazik got a lot of momentum from last week. When he gets on a hot streak, it can last for a while. This might be the beginning of something really, really good for Yazik here. I mean, he's already having a good season. He is the point leader, but wins, they could come. Many could come. I know we head off to a road course next week, but a great chance for him here to lock up another win this evening. Just got to take care of the truck right now. Drew has not figured him out.
No, he kind of runs a little bit wide there on the entry to 3 and kind of loses just a little bit of momentum to Carroll. I think that's all that's going to dive Carroll to do is maybe just take a look on the outside of him here, maybe be able to pull his nose up, but I think Carroll kind of read into that. It's like, nope, I'm just going to tuck back in here. But as Carroll is trying to find a way to get around Yazik, you got to look now, Krahula, Dalton, and Wright have all caught up to these front two, and all of a sudden here you're going to start having a larger battle once again, kind of like what we saw around that lap 10 mark where all those guys were pretty close together. But now Carroll's going to have to start worrying about James Krahula behind him, and Krahula might be maybe trying to exert himself and get him back up there in the second position.
Yes, sir. That could be the opportunity here. You know what? Listen, you don't need to worry about a pit stop at this point. You don't need it. We got that break with the yellow. It's all about going flat out right now and trying to make a pass. These guys have all played very well together this evening. Let's see here over the next 25 laps if they're committed to doing that until the very end. I don't know. It's time to get moving for a few here in this field.
Yep, and they're just getting ready to start working their way around the lap truck here of Casey Campbell. Casey Campbell on the radio, talking to Yazik, letting him know where he was going to be. And so everybody should be able to get at least the top three here, able to get around him pretty cleanly. As Yazik is still holding off Carroll, and likewise Carroll still holding off Krahula. Krahula ended up having to run side by side with Campbell there going down the back straightaway, but everybody's all well and good here at this point. Quick scan through the field does show that this is probably the biggest battle on the racetrack, at least right now, other than Billy Tungate still having some trouble with his truck there. I just saw just a moment ago, but nothing significant, so we'll stay up front as it looks like Drew Carroll, running right now. I really think Drew Carroll has the truck to get by him. It's just a matter of, you got to have Yazik make a mistake, and you brought up the point. Yazik is just too smooth at this point. You're going to have to find some other way. Casey Campbell is around. He is into the side of Jeff Gow. We've got a yellow here on the racetrack. Jeff Gow did end up getting into some damage there, but he does retain 7th position, but he might have to come into pits here to fix some of that body damage. Taking a look here on your screen, Campbell just trying to let guys go by, and I think coming out of 4, I don't think he knew Gow was there.
Yeah,
down on him, and everybody else was able to miss him. But that's a tough break for both Gow and also Casey Campbell, who was out there just trying to do the right thing, but unfortunately ended up having a little bit of contact there. So. Here we go, looking at Rick Thompson on board. You see Campbell spin right in front of him. Yikes! That doesn't go from the top to the bottom in a way that you don't want to have to go to the top to the bottom.
He definitely got away with one there.
just cue old Scooby-Doo and Scraggy there. Yikes!
Well, darn it, we got a caution flag. I wasn't I wasn't really expecting it. I thought we might make it to the end without one. That changes everything now. I think it's pretty safe to say your leaders, the top 10 back through probably maybe the top 15, they were all coming in.
Yep, and of course on your screen right now, we had the who is going to be the lucky dog. We'll go back to him here in just a few minutes. Watch. There he is. Coastal Safety Auditor's lucky dog is bring out Brutus. He is getting up chasing around Jeff Ryan. Jeff Ryan in that 88 Bojangles machine will be your Coastal Safety Auditor's lucky dog here for only the second yellow of the race with about 22 laps to go here, 21 when they cross the line. So we go to the leaders' pit stops. Drew Carroll was able to gain a few spots this last pit cycle. Will he be able to do it again? Yazik is in his... Yazik had to back up a little bit. So we'll have to see what that ends up doing here as far as time. He's going to need a little bit of help to be able to get out in front of Drew Carroll now. His right sides are up. Drew Carroll is away. Drew Carroll is going to edge out in front of him. James Krahula is going to go to the lead of this race with Drew Carroll in second and Yazik in third.
Yeah, and Krahula, 4 tires and fuel. There was no messing around there. That was just a good pit stop by his team. One thing I also noticed Krahula did, and I don't know if this was by strategy or by accident, he pulled all the way to the very, very front edge of his box. I mean, he gave himself every advantage to get out first.
And it ended up working out for him as leapfrogging both your first and second place trucks going into the pit stops. Going from third to first is going to be James Krahula. So Drew Carroll, though, it's like he was having trouble getting around Yazik. And Krahula is a tough egg to crack as well. I mean, he's going to have his hands just as full with Krahula as what he did with Yazik.
Yeah, and one of the things about Krahula is you don't always know what's going on with him. You don't always know. His strategy can sometimes be unconventional. So I can't tell you honestly if he's just been laying back this evening, sandbagging a little bit, just waiting for this opportunity right here with less than 20 laps to go to make that big move to win this race. He may have been a faster truck than Yazik all night, and we just haven't seen it yet. So he's going to get a chance to restart this race from the point where he started it when the green flag dropped for the first time this evening. It's his to win. He's just got to take care of business.
And, of course, the trucks that you see in front of your leader are Massey, Fred Thompson, and Don Runkle Jr. They will get the wave around here in just a moment and be able to come back to the back half of the field. When we go to green, they're just staying out there to make sure that they're able to get their laps back. So James Krahula is indeed in the lead in this race, even though he's the 4th truck in line, and Drew Carroll right behind him. So we should, I believe, we'll get the one to go here this time from the Mustang pace car, waiting to see if those lights go off, and we'll end up having let's see, this will be 19. We'll have 18 laps to go, I believe, when we hit the green flag here coming this time by. It has been a totally different race than what we saw last time at Gateway. These guys, the lights are in fact off on the pace car. We're going green here next time by. It's been a relatively clean race, very, very tight racing, but clean still, as even some of these cautions that we've seen, only the second caution of the race is, most of the incidents, guys have been able to stay out of it, a couple of single car accidents, and so we'll have to see if the action ends up heating up a little bit, but I do know that the racing tonight has been fantastic, Sean.
I don't think we've seen as much side-by-side racing this season as we've seen tonight. I go back to Jeff Gow and Travis McQuistion side-by-side for practically 50 to 60 laps. Brian Yazik and Drew Carroll side-by-side for several laps. James Krahula fighting back there with Tyler Dalton. And I mean, it's been a special one tonight. Kentucky, great track, great race so far. This could be the last time we see this green flag drop. Let's do it.
Yep, and cars are between 3 and 4 now, approaching that turn 4 text on there on the wall. Lights are off on the pace car. We're waiting for that pace car to take the hard left. Here it goes. Mustang pace car is off the track. James Krahula on the gas almost right away. Gets a great restart. Drew Carroll's already having to fight off. It looks like Tyler Dalton on the outside. Tyler Dalton making a big charge. Now Drew Carroll will have the inside line. He's able to clear Brian Yazik, but he definitely has his hands full with Tyler Dalton and Brian Yazik right behind him. So James Krahula up at the front of this race, but they are practically side by side from back to Yazik and Dalton on back. These guys are definitely hard charging. These guys know that they're coming 17 laps to go in this race.
Yeah, you know what? It was a really, really good restart for Dalton shortly. It didn't last long. Jake Wright actually with a great restart now finds himself in fourth, striking distance, but Dalton just behind him getting a run right up on him. He crosses him over, coming out of two. Down the backstretch, Dalton going to try and get a wheel in. Can't do it yet. Yes, he inches forward and does. Gets side by side with Jake in turn 3 and 4, and he's going to take that position coming off here, bringing Tim Johnston right along with him.
Yeah, those guys trying to settle out amongst themselves and very well could go 3 wide here going into 1. I think Tim Johnson thought better of it. Kind of slips down a little bit behind Dalton there. That's not exactly. You might be able to pull off 3 wide, I think, through 3 and 4, but 1 and 2, probably not going to work out the greatest. But it's that Jake Wright making an aggressive move there, trying to dip below Tyler Dalton as they're going to go side by side through 3 and 4. Looks like Dalton's going to have the momentum coming off of 4. But meanwhile, up front, Drew Carroll's going to get a look here on the inside of James Krahula. Carroll pull her down. Krahula's going to go right alongside of him. He gets about as close as he can to him, trying to pinch him down a little bit, and that's going to help him get the momentum coming off the corner, but he is not able to clear Carroll as they go off through 3 and 4. A little bit more room between those two going through 3 and 4. Carroll this time has a little bit more momentum. I don't think he could have slid a piece of paper between Carroll's rear bumper and Krahula's front bumper there, but it does get Carroll the lead going into 1. In fact, he is all by himself in his lead. As I say that, though, Krahula's going to fight back here on the inside. He's almost to that rear quarter panel. He's not quite able to get there. Carroll is away. Meanwhile, Krahula is going to have to fight off Yazik now. Yazik on the inside of Krahula going through 3 and 4. Now that is exactly what Drew Carroll wants to see with 14 laps to go in this race. It's like fight side by side as long as you guys want. Now Drew Carroll is right now the man of the catbird seat, wanting these guys to keep fighting. Krahula now alongside of Yazik now almost for a complete lap. Yazik kind of backs out of it though, going down the backstretch, realizes he doesn't have anything there. Maybe he realizes they're losing too much time to Carroll already, and it's better just to kind of discretion, better part of valor kind of thing. Sean?
Yeah, you know what we need to get Krahula? We need to get him a gun rack in the back of that truck. I noticed from that shot from the driver's seat there that was obviously missing in the back window of that truck. He's a Texan, man. We need to put a gun rack in there.
We'll get right on iRacing for that modification. I'd be in favor of it, but that's just me. But
I was just going to say this is a great battle by these 3 up front. This is going to be anybody's race. We're getting really close here, coming around for 11 to go. I don't think Yazik is finished with these guys yet.
Well, we can't forget, got some action going on in the back. Johnston right now doing his best to hold off Travis McQuistion. Travis McQuistion doing his part to try to make himself a little bit more known here in the later stages of this race. He's constantly with that outside look on Tim Johnston in that Microsoft Mechanics machine for Travis McQuistion, that blue and black machine fighting the black and white machine, both Toyota Tundras here, and you got the Toyota Tundra of Rick Thompson just behind them as well. Just waiting for one of those guys to make a mistake, but this right now is the battle for 6th, 7th, and 8th position on the racetrack.
Yeah, and it's a good one indeed. Rick keeps trying to find a way to attack the 2, and it hasn't worked out for him. It keeps killing his momentum. Now McQuistion gets enough of a run. He's able to get around Tim Johnston, get back up into that 6th spot. The question is, how long can he hang on to it? Johnston driving it hard, right up on the back bumper. Travis McQuistion
Well, there you go. Things are starting to kind of even out between those guys as well. Rick Johnston, though, is going to have to fight off Rick Thompson. Of course, just as soon as I say that, I should stop making comments like that, because as soon as I say that, Thompson does get a good look on the inside of Johnston, but ends up pulling back behind him going down the back stretch, but pulls right back out, going through 3 and 4 there. So that race is probably going to keep going here for a little while yet. They do have 8 laps left to go to end this race. So this race should be over here in a little bit over 4 minutes. And up front, Drew Carroll right now has been able to maintain that about 0.3 of a second lead over James Krahula. James Krahula still has his hands full with Brian Yazek. I think Yazek back there, though, he's just trying to make sure that Drew Carroll doesn't run far enough away from him that he takes himself out of trying to get a win here. But Drew Carroll showing that speed that we've seen out of him this entire race so far, Sean.
Yeah, Drew, some nights you're just hooked up. And tonight is the night that I had a feeling that our leaders weren't showing their hand early. Drew did a good job of kind of laying back, playing straight there for a while, but he's got the advantage on them now. I don't know if they can pass him here. We're going to see. There's only 6 laps left to go. Drew is going to probably have to fight both of them. I see Yazek back there. He's starting to search for the fast line. I can see him getting back to where he was earlier in this race. Probably saved just enough in these tires to make that attack. And here goes. Yazek now out of turn 4. Looking strong. Starting to close in on these guys.
Yeah, and of course, as that's happened, Krahula's been able to close that gap down to about 0.15 seconds, so only about 0.15 of a second separating Drew Carroll from James Krahula. And James Krahula actually has a really good run here going through 1 and 2, but Carroll ends up being able to stretch it out on the exit of 2 and is able to pull away just ever so slightly from him, getting back to that 0.15 mark there. And of course, James Krahula has about 0.2 of a second going back to Yazek, but we do know that these guys do have some fast trucks out there. In fact, right now, Drew Carroll here of the last couple laps with Yazek and Krahula diving really aggressively there through the tri-oval, has actually lost a little bit of ground on those guys and is kind of almost losing the title of the fastest truck on the racetrack to him. As Krahula just kind of knows he's there. I mean, he's able to get right up on him, just can't do anything with it.
Krahula has been the fastest truck on track for the last 3 laps in a row, and that has not equaled a pass for the lead. So what does that mean? Well, it means that Drew Carroll's doing just enough, making that truck just wide enough that James can't get a clean trip around. Just like there, he got up to him, he tried to get around him, and Drew did. Drew's lifting right there, so James has got to lift too, not to spin him. That's a momentum killer, man. Advantage Drew Carroll. James got to get back to work. He's doing it again here on screen. What's his play going to be this time? Is he going to try to look to the inside here? Well, they can't, because Drew Carroll drives down the bottom of the track right there in front of him. So, again, Drew knows exactly what he's doing. He's maybe doing a little bit of mirror driving right now, Adam.
Yeah, I think so. And of course, Krahula and Yazek, time is running out. 2 laps to go here. Actually, now about 1.5 laps to go. As these guys are running out of time to do something with Drew Carroll, but yet they stay right there, right with him. If Carroll was to slip up even the slightest little bit, hey, we got going to the last lap. We got 3 wide back behind him. We're going to have to go back to that in a few minminutes. We got a track sliding. Okay, so last lap now for your leaders. Of course. Get back up to that mix-up here in a little bit, but Krahula sticking his nose in there. Isn't able to do anything with it. That might have been his last best shot, but we still got 3 and 4 to go through here for Drew Carroll. Drew Carroll in that 87 truck looking to take away the win. Krahula is right behind him. Yazek in 3rd. I don't think anybody has anything for him. Drew Carroll is going to come away with the Kentucky 150 here tonight.
Clipping that apex for the win. Boy, what a drive from Drew Carroll. Great effort by Krahula, and not enough from Yazek tonight. He'll probably be a little disappointed, but boy, what a top 3 right there. Those two did some tremendous driving over the last 20 laps of this race.
All right, so before we go away to break, I do want to go back and take a look at what happened there. Coming to the white flag between McQuestion, Johnston, and Jake Wright back there. This is pretty much from about 5th on back. These guys fighting for 5th. They go 3 wide. They're running 3 wide all the way down the backstretch between the two. Johnston's the truck in the middle, and eventually, we talked about the 3 wide might work in 3 and 4. And unfortunately, I think
there it is.
Yeah, see Johnston sliding, and he ended up being able to recover that truck, but lost a few positions out of it as well. So anyway, that's what happened back in the field.
Yeah.
Here we go from the blimp view. You see Rick Thompson back there. Great battle. This is all for 5th position, folks, coming down through turn 4, going to the white flag. Johnson and McQuestion get together, and it looks like out of everybody, Jake Wright and Rick Thompson are the 2 that end up the benefactors of that contact, as they end up coming home in 5th and 6th. So when we come back here in just a few minutes, we'll take a look at your final finishing order, as well as talk hopefully to your winner, Drew Carroll. Kentucky 150 tonight did not disappoint. Plenty of side-by-side racing all the way through the field, with about 23 trucks, I believe, tonight taking the grid, and I think everybody had their chance at a little bit of side-by-side racing here this evening. So coming out on top, though, Drew Carroll in P1 in that 87 truck, and pretty much one of the faster trucks all night long, and when he got up in front thanks to those last pit stops, there was no looking back for him. James Grahula coming home in second, Brian Yasik in third, Tyler Dalton in fourth, and a fantastic battle coming to the white flag. Unfortunately, a little bit of contact involved with it, though. Fifth place, Jake Wright. Sixth place, Rick Thompson. And then seventh place, Devin Cannon. Eighth place, Travis McQuestion. Ninth place, Jonathan Morris. And Tim Johnson ends up sliding home in 10th position. Sean?
All right, then let's look at 11th. That's going to be Jeff Gow. Good run for him tonight. Brad Collins, 12th. Stephen Herring, 13th. Norman Pelletier, 14th. He had some trouble earlier. Reed Rundell struggled with the truck a bit tonight. 15th. John Wilco, 16th. Jeff Ryan, 17th. Billy Tungate, 18th. Snoop Doggy Don Runkle Jr., 19th. Tommy and Massey, we saw the trouble he had had. A couple of spins made it a tough night for him in 20th. 21st, going to be Fred Thompson. Casey Campbell in 22nd. DJ Beverly was the first truck out this evening. He's going to have to settle for 23rd.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for DJ Beverly. He was one of the trucks that we thought might be in contention here tonight, but unfortunately just wasn't to be. So with that, I do think that Sean is caught up with your winner tonight, Drew Carroll.
Drew, quite a celebration going down there in Victory Lane. How you doing tonight?
I'm feeling great. So happy to get a win in PRL in any of the series out of the way. We've been fighting. We've been in position a few times this year to try to lock up a win, and something would happen to us. So just glad of everybody, proud of everybody at LPM, and just so glad we were able to get a win tonight.
Well, the clipping that Apex Chevrolet was strong this evening. It seemed like you saved the best for last.
Yeah, I slid through my pit stall there on that round of green flag pit stops that put us back, and luckily we were able to get those couple cautions to get us caught back up. But yeah, I knew I had to get around James as quickly as I could there, and so I could kind of dictate which line I wanted to take to the end of the race. So yeah, definitely helped. We got a little bit of luck on our side tonight, which we haven't really had that much of this season, but really happy that it was on our side tonight.
What was the tricky part about passing this evening here?
It was just really the high line was dominant, believe it or not. If you got about 5 to 10 laps on your tires, it was just really hard to pass anybody on the bottom. You really had to drive it into either, in my opinion, 3 and 4 was the easiest spot to pass. You really had to drive it down in there into the corner, just tap the brake a little bit in the center, and try to get the same run off as the other guy got, and try to get him going down the front stretch with that apron to help you. But it was just really challenging to pass all day. That's why I was glad we were able to get the track position that we had early and was able to keep it up there all night long.
Well, Drew, we're going to celebrate that first PRL win with you tonight, and everybody's going to have a good time because of it. We appreciate you putting on quite a show for us this evening. Anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I got to thank Clippy That Apex for all their support. Got to thank Elite Custom Graphics and HPP Simulations for all they do for us as well. I got to thank Brian Yazik and Michael Krobach and everybody at Loud Pedal Motorsports for giving me this opportunity and putting together this great truck. And thanks to you guys for putting on such a great show.
All right, and that is Drew Carroll, our winner tonight, driving the number 87, clipping that Apex Chevrolet. And we thank Drew for coming on in and visiting with us. I know, Adam, you get a chance to talk to a very, very excited, I'm sure excited, James Grahula, our second place finisher tonight.
Yeah, of course, James, once again, out of the top 3 guys, every one of them putting on a great show. James putting on a great show. James, coming down there after that last pit stop, and everything, did you think you had anything to be able to get around Drew Carroll?
I knew I had a lot to get around Drew Carroll. I was better on the long run the entire night, so it was just about long enough that I knew I had a chance, and I just wound up being too nice there on the last lap to get us a victory tonight. But overall, it was a pretty fun race racing with Brian and Drew.
Well, of course, coming away with your 7th top 10 here of the season so far, you're putting yourself in some pretty good position. Of course, the Spring Series wraps up next week at Mid-Ohio, and then after that, we start to open up into the summer. And putting yourself in good points position here with 7 top 10s so far.
Yeah, I think Brian, bearing some bad luck for him at Mid-Ohio, probably has the spring segment, but we're definitely looking for the whole season is the most important thing, and I think that we have a good chance at it, and definitely having a chance to kind of run on everything tonight. It was, I don't know, it was stress free. I definitely have to thank Brian. He's essentially taken over the Premier Racing League from me, allowing me to kind of focus on some outside things that in my personal life that I need to focus on, and so he just ran with it this week, and he's just been absolutely awesome with it, and has just allowed me to come in and race when I'm going to have free time, and allow me to focus on other things that are important with me, and we'll continue on, and he's going to do a good job running this league, and I just it was a lot different tonight. It was a lot less stressful just getting to come in and just get to race and not have to worry about running the show for once.
Hey, I understand that, and of course, I do think that you're right. Things are in pretty good hands here for a little while, so hopefully you get everything figured out on your end. But hey, James, congratulations on your 2nd place run here tonight, and we'll hopefully see you just maybe in the same position or even better at Mid-Ohio. Hey, one last question: are you a great road racer?
The trucks in Mid-Ohio will be very fun.
All right, well, there you heard it from the man himself. So with that, I think Yazik is caught up with Sean Ambrose is caught up with Brian Yazik, and these are two guys you should never let alone in the same room together because they'll probably talk for hours on end, but we'll let them have a go at it here for a little bit.
Well, first thing we'd start talking about is what beard products we prefer. I think Brian, you and I are still waiting on some free beard products we were supposed to get. I don't know what happened, but
I don't know what happened there, man.
What happened on track tonight? You got to settle for 3rd place. Is that acceptable?
It's acceptable just because it's a good points night in that sense. I'm mad at myself for blowing through my stall and costing the win. There's really just no other way around it. I slid through the stall and had to back up. If I didn't do that, we would have had a halfway decent pit stop, and we could have pulled out and won the race, on that sense. But hats off to Drew. Really happy for an LPM 1-3. I couldn't quite get to James to make it a 1-2, but God, he was tough. He was tough tonight. He really likes this place, and I was worried about this race coming into tonight because I've always struggled in the truck at Kentucky, and I never figured out what it was. And then we got going into the race, and I went, "Oh, that's how we do it." Okay.
One thing I noticed that you were doing early and a lot sooner than other drivers were, and that was riding that groove in the middle of the turns, really about a lane and a half up off that apron there. Tell us a little bit about that. When did you discover that was going to be the really, really quick way around here this evening?
Well, it was funny. I was riding behind Dalton on that first run, and I was just feeling frisky or bored or something, but I'm like, let's just go up high and see what happens. And I blew right by him, and I went, okay, that works. But no, it's every race that I've in the more powerful cars, you kind of do want to run about that lane off the bottom, and it was working pretty good in the trucks. I could get a really good head of steam off the corner as I was trying to get around James or Drew or whoever I was around. Didn't really work that great in 3 and 4. There was a very fine line up at that top groove that it could work, but not quite. But hey, you know what? It was fun up there. I kind of got to feel like an inner, like a fatter Kyle Larson. So that was all right.
That's always good.
Yeah, like I said, solid day for HPP Simulation, for our sponsors, clipping that Apex LPM. I'm really happy for Drew. Finally got that flipping monkey off his back with us and got himself a win. I'm more stoked about that. I took third. I'm happy. I think we extended our points or maintained or something like that. But really happy for everybody back at LPM.
Brian, we're really happy for you, my friend. Thanks again for coming in, talking with us. You want to give a shout out to anyone just real quick?
Thank our sponsors, HPP Simulation. You want to go out there and get yourself a good set of pedals, the same ones I'm racing. They go to hppsimulation.com. It's the 3 PRX edition. So we got our 3 pedals there. Clipping That Apex has been around for a long while. Sim Racing Apps for all of that. Thanks to you guys. Thanks to James for kind of organizing this, and then he kind of crazily enough left me in charge, so it's kind of like the inmate running the asylum, but we're having fun, and just thanks to everybody that makes us go around. It's a whole lot of fun. I'm having so much fun this year. It's I can't even describe it.
And just on a personal note, Brian, I want to thank you for talking me into my pit stall every time I come off the track. So anyway.
That's simracingapps.com. You go out there and download that, and my smooth voice will talk you down into your pit stall each and every single time.
Yes, you too can hear Brian Yazik tell you to look for your box, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're done talking to Brian. Thanks a lot, buddy. Brian with another great run and another good boost for his points this evening.
All right. Well, hey, just a side note, of course, we had 23 trucks on the track tonight. 21 of those finished on the lead lap, just to kind of go show the competitiveness of the race here this evening. So, Sean, hey, Mid-Ohio next week. Any last thoughts leaving Kentucky, heading to the road course?
I almost hate that we have to leave Kentucky and head to the road course, but it's not a long journey. Kentucky, Mid-Ohio, not bad. We'll be there in just a little bit. Got a little favorite hangout of mine, and I like to stop every time I'm at Mid-Ohio, and we'll talk about it next week.
All right. Well, hey, we'll see you there. We're going to go ahead and say a special thanks to the Premier Racing League for putting on the American Pool Supply Truck Series. Also, thanks to the software and hardware that we use for our broadcasts that you can see listed there on your screen.
Also, thanks to our musical contributors, Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, whose music you can find at the websites listed. For more information about future races, you can see the list on the screen, or you can go to our great website, globalsimracingchannel.com, where you can check out our past broadcasts as well as see our future schedule.
Well, we're also on Twitter at GSRC Channel and Facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. The next time we will be on the air with the Premier Racing League American Pool Supply Truck Series is going to be next Sunday, round 10, where we will crown our spring champion. We're going to go left and right at Mid-Ohio. We'll be able to see you at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Congrats again to our winner for Dougie Beard, Joe Peak, and Sean Ambrose. I'm Adam Young. Until we see you next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.